What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, hopefully you guys are not a little bit too thrown off by the new format. I was going to put the intro, video kind of in first, and then I was going to go into what I was actually going to talk about here. So having said that, let's have this conversation. When it comes to the offseason, as we all know, NFL news is sparse, and it's hard to come by. But every so often, you'll get a gold nugget that is dropped in your lap, and it provides you something you didn't expect. And yesterday, the Lions got such a gold nugget from, coincidentally, a source that a lot of people are looking at as the real McCoy, but in reality, I'm about to tell you why I believe that that's not the case. What am I referring to? Yesterday, the NFL world officially got kind of tilted on its ear when the news broke that the 49ers had officially signed quarterback Brock Purdy to a 5-year, $265 million contract extension, of which a grand total of it, $181 million, was fully guaranteed. Now, I'll say this. While the nature of the deal, such as the fact that it's a lot of money, the fact that it's a big deal, the fact that it's a quarterback, that shouldn't surprise anybody. That shouldn't shock anybody, because that's the nature of the sport. That's the nature of the position when deals are handed out to those people. But what should be shocking, what is shocking, is that the 49ers made the deal when massive questions are surrounding the guy that they gave the deal to as far as his ability to live up to that contract. Now, let me explain how this contract, this news, is great news, even though it's unexpected, in the best way I can, which is analysis, logic, reason, and all that is encompassed with comparison. Now, let's take a look at the information that I have compiled here. When we take a look at this contract, and we take a look at this news that I'm talking about that's unexpected great news for the Detroit Lions, we have to do the comparison of Brock Purdy to Jared Goff. Now, Jared Goff was given a 4-year, $212 million contract, of which $170.6 million of it was guaranteed. Brock Purdy got a 5-year contract, as I said, that was $265 million, $181 million of it guaranteed. Both quarterbacks, over the period of the deal, over the period of the contract, are going to make about $53 million on average a year. Again, that's just the average. That's not officially how the money is broken down. Some teams front load, some teams back load, some teams evenly disperse it. But I want to show you guys something. When we take a look at how both of these quarterbacks have done since they became the starters for their respective franchises, Jared Goff since 2021 and Brock Purdy since 2022, already we're going to see a very interesting picture. We're going to see a very interesting comparison. When we take a look at Goff since joining the Lions in 2021 and compared with other quarterbacks that have played at least 50 games, Jared Goff is ranked 4th in that time frame for completion percentage, 2nd in that time frame for passing yards, tied 3rd in pass average per throw, ranked 4th in passing touchdowns, ranked 7th in pass touchdown percentage per throw. He's tied 3rd in interception percentage per throw, and he's ranked 3rd in passer rating. Pretty much what that ought to show you, pretty much what that does show, unequivocally, undisputedly, is that Jared Goff is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Most of those rankings are in the top 3. Almost all of them are top 5. There's only one that's not in the top 5, and that's outside of the top 5 by 2 spots. Now we take a look at Brock Purdy, since he became the starter for the 49ers in 2022. Since he became the starter in that time frame, so from 2022 until now, he's ranked 15th in the NFL in passing yards. He's number 1 in passing average per throw. He's tied 12th in the amount of touchdowns that he has compiled. He is ranked 2nd in touchdown percentage per throw. However, though, he is tied 20th in interception percentage per throw, while still being ranked 2nd in passer rating. So, what we can clearly see here is that both quarterbacks have personally been very successful and very productive since becoming their respective team's, quarterback. And both quarterbacks have had both regular season and postseason personal and team success. However, past this, the similarities dry up exponentially fast, and the differences between these two swing wildly in Goff's favor. And this is where the Lions can start looking at this good news, awesome news that I'm referring to. Because when we take a look at the contracts that both of these guys have gotten, you have to do more than just take a look at the statistical production. You have to do more than just simply saying, oh, well, hey, what have these guys done against each other personally? What have they done as far as, their personal success, the team success? You have to take a look at everything. That's what I do. That is why I spend as much time researching as I do, to make sure I give you guys all of it. First and foremost here, let's take a look at Goff versus Purdy when it comes to the personal career background. Take a look at Goff. When Goff came in, as far as a rookie, he came in with massive expectations, and he had to live up to them. And he has. As a number 1 overall pick, he has done extremely well living up to that number 1 overall selection. Purdy, on the other hand, is quite literally at the very opposite end of that spectrum. Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft, had no expectations when he came into the NFL. You had one guy that literally had all the world expecting him to do something, and then you had the other guy who nobody expected him to do anything. You then take a look at them in other ways. When Jared Goff came in, what did he do? He helped rebuild 2 NFL franchises into successful programs. The Rams, and more importantly, more, profound in terms of, the evidence that it gives, the Detroit Lions. What did Brock Purdy get? What did Brock Purdy do once he got in? Oh, that's right. Brock Purdy literally inherited a team that had been to a Super Bowl already without him, and had also been to 2 championship games without him, and that was all within less than 5 years prior. So when Goff came into both situations that he was the starter, he had to rebuild those teams along with everybody else from the ground up. When Brock Purdy came in, the ground had already been solidified. The foundation was already there. He already had excellent team. He already had an excellent team. He already had an excellent culture that he was walking into. Vastly different. Then you take a look at the personal narrative between these two men. Goff, when he came to Detroit, was humiliated, left for dead here in Detroit, with virtually no weapons or resources to ensure his success. But yet what did Goff do? Him and everybody else that was with the team, they had to build it the hard way. They had to build it the, as this hat quite literally states, the gritty way. Purdy, right out of the gate, what did he have in 2022 when he took over? He had CMC. He had Debo. He had Ayuk. And he also had George Kittle. Right out of the gate, that's what he had. I mean, for a quarterback to have that amount of weapons and resources, to start means he had virtually none of the difficulties that Goff had when it meant coming to Detroit. In essence, what Purdy had when he came to the 49ers, he didn't even have a silver spoon put in his mouth. He had a golden spoon put in his mouth. That offense was literally about as perfect of a situation that any quarterback could ask for, rookie or veteran. Then you take a look at the difference between both Detroit and San Fran in terms of their cultural differences. When Goff got to Detroit, he, along with Campbell and Holmes and everybody else, they were building something completely from scratch because there had been no winning culture there. There had been nothing there that was even remotely sort of having any sort of, connection or, relation to success since the 1950s. From that, like again I said, what this hat signifies, they built the grit culture. Plus, think about this, while they were trying to do this, they had hostile fans, hostile local media, and they had hostile national media who put immense pressure on all three to fail in order to be proven right and to soothe their fragile egos. Whereas, wait a minute here, San Francisco has had 5 Super Bowls. San Francisco had Joe Montana, Steve Young, Bill Walsh. They've had a long-standing success story and culture for winning there for not just years, decades. Because when Purdy came in 2022, oh, that's right, that culture had already been there because, oh, that's right, they already had Shanahan as their head coach. I mean, you think about it, as soon as Purdy came into that situation, there were literally people lining out the door, just absolutely in his corner, loving the underdog narrative, which I want to call hypocrisy from the media because it's like Goff and the Lions were bigger underdogs trying to build something from scratch. The only thing Purdy was trying to do was just show, hey, Mr. Irrelevant can actually be relevant. And again, as I highlighted earlier, when the fact that Purdy had all those stars that he was playing with, he also had, as I said in Shanahan, a head coach that is an offensive genius and a QB whisperer. Dan Campbell's none of those things. Dan Campbell's not an offensive genius. He's not a quarterback whisperer. But what he is he's a great team builder. He's a great culture builder. He's a motivator. And think about it. The reception that Purdy got was starkly different to what Goff got. And yet Goff has been equally as successful as Purdy despite having to do everything the hard way, the gritty way. Now, I know that 49ers fans and or Purdy fans will take this as me putting Purdy down. And that's fine. You can have that opinion. You really can. But the truth does not give a damn, does not care about feelings or opinions. All it gives a damn about is facts. Facts that expose the darkness and decay where all that opinion, where all those feelings might be. Facts are the dynamite that literally blow down the walls when people want to hide behind opinions and feelings. And when you take a look at the facts that, help out Purdy, there's a few of them. Yeah, he helped the 49ers beat the Lions in the 2023 NFC Conference Championship game. However, that wasn't because Purdy just played out of his mind or was playing hero ball. That was more to do with the fact that the Lions' defense took their foot off the gas in the second half, and the 49ers capitalized off of that mistake that Aaron Glenn and the defense made. Because rather than Aaron Glenn, deciding to absolutely stomp on their neck and bury them, he decided to play, we're going to try and protect a lead rather than trying to absolutely destroy them. That was what we tried to do in the first half, and it worked. But in the second half, we took our foot off the gas and said, hey, you know what? We're up 24-7. If we just play protect ball, we'll be fine. Didn't work. Now, I know some people are also going to say, well, Purdy outplayed Goff in that game as well. Again, incorrect. Go back to that game. The fumble that Gibbs had right out the second half. The two back-breaking drops by Josh Reynolds in that game. Those were just as big to the Lions' loss outcome as the defense playing soft under Glenn's supervision. And then here's another fact for you. When Goff got his contract. He showed that he had earned his contract by continually improving every single year personally, and also by leading the team to either places they had not been ever or had not been to in a long damn time. Purdy, on the other hand, when he just got paid, which was, oh, by the way, yesterday, which, funny enough, the one other similarity that these two gentlemen share is that they got both paid on the exact same day, one exact calendar year apart, both May 16. Goff got paid May 16, 2024. Purdy got paid May 16, 2025. But think about that. When Purdy got paid, he got paid after failing to push his team to be better in spite of the injuries that they had sustained the previous year. Because let's think about this. Goff has had to deal with injuries on both the offense and the defense ever since he's been here in Detroit. Goff has had to deal with a number of different things that have come up either towards him personally or towards the team that have tried to derail him or the team. But think about it. Take a look at what Goff did in 2023 and 2024 individually. In 2023, Jared Goff was 6th in the NFL that year with completion percentage, 2nd in passing yards. He was tied 6th in pass average per throw. He was ranked 4th in passing touchdowns, tied 8th in pass touchdown percentage per throw. He was ranked 8th in passer rating, and he was ranked 10th in QBR. The reason why there's an asterisk there is because technically, if you go to ESPN, Kirk Cousins will be in that list, and that will move Goff down to 11. But Kirk Cousins only played 8 games in 2023, so I don't consider that a fair inclusion because he didn't play the majority of the year. He only played less than half of the year. Now you move to Jared Goff in 2024. Goff was 2nd in passing percentage. He was 2nd in passing yards, 2nd in pass average per throw. He was ranked 4th in passing touchdowns. He was ranked 3rd in pass touchdown percentage, 2nd in passer rating, and he was ranked 6th in QBR. Between those 2 years, Goff not only went from being a top 10 quarterback in 2023, but he went to a top 5 quarterback in 2024, all while helping the Lions having their 2 most successful seasons back-to-back ever in terms of win percentage and win totals in the entirety of their franchise history. Because they were 12-5 in 2023 and they were 15-2 in 2024. Despite the fact, again, having 16 players on IR for their defense. And then, when you take a look at what Goff did over the total of those 2 years combined, so for 2023 and 2024, over all the other quarterbacks in the NFL, he's 2nd in the NFL in completion percentage, number 1 in passing yards, number 3 in pass average per throw, ranked 2nd in passing touchdowns, ranked 4th in pass touchdown percentage per throw, and he's also tied 2nd in passer rating. But think about this. Think about this. When Goff signed his contract on May 16th of last year for $212 million, that was just before the season started. I remember one of the biggest things I've ever heard out of, people that talk about contracts, especially when it comes to big name players, is that, once the player gets paid, then all of a sudden they're just going to fall off a cliff because now they're not playing for anything. They've gotten what they've wanted. They've gotten their contract. There's no incentive for them to play better. Wrong when it came to Detroit, when it came to Jared Goff. Jared Goff, after getting his contract in 2024, just before the season started, so basing everything off of what he did in 2023, he significantly outproduced his 2023 efforts. Because think about this. From 2023 to 2024, Jared Goff virtually outproduced himself by double. I'm going to put it up on the screen. When you take a look at every single category, there's only one category which is negative, which is the interception percentage, which is plus 10%. But other than that, it's either no change or all positive. Jared Goff outproduced himself from 2023 to 2024 by 99.9%. He almost doubled what he did from 2023 to 2024. He earned that contract, and then he backed it up by being even better. Now, that's Goff. What about Brock Purdy? Like I said, he got his contract the exact same date a year later, just like Goff did. Now, what did Brock Purdy do in 2023? Brock Purdy in 2023 Not going to take anything away from him. Absolutely stupendous, wonderful, magnificent year for Purdy. 3rd in completion percentage, 5th in passing yards, 1st in pass average per throw, 3rd in passing touchdowns, 1st in pass touchdown percentage per throw, 1st in passer rating, and tied 1st in QBR. I mean, you want to talk about Brock Purdy just having himself a year. 2023, he had himself a year. But in 2024, when the injuries started piling up, when the troubles, the trials, the tribulations, and when things started getting rough, Brock Purdy completely collapsed. He went from being what he was in 2023 to this. He was 16th in 2024 in completion percentage, 10th in passing yards, 3rd in pass average per throw, tied 15th in passing touchdowns, tied 17th in pass touchdown percentage per throw, ranked 13th in passer rating, and ranked 7th in QBR. Now, some of those rankings don't look too bad. When you take a look also at the grand total over 2023 and 2024, again, it looks like Purdy's done pretty damn good for himself. He's ranked 10th over that time frame in pass completion percentage, ranked 3rd in that time frame with passing yards, still ranked number 1 in pass average per throw, ranked 8th in passing touchdowns, tied 5th in pass touchdown percentage per throw, and he's tied 2nd with Jared Goff for passer rating. So, 2023, he looks absolutely great. 2024, he falls off a cliff, but over the 2 combined years together, he still looks pretty damn good. But when you take a look at the net loss percentage, just like how I did with Goff with the net gain percentage, holy cow. I'm going to put it up on the screen, same thing I did with Goff. Every single category, freaking Brock Purdy was absolutely significantly worse than what he was in 2023. And it means more than just the injuries. Yeah, the injuries definitely help in this. But the injuries do not account for freaking Brock Purdy almost losing 135% of his production from the previous year. Injuries should have some impact, but not 135 freaking percent. So think about that. The 49ers just paid a guy who, when things got tough, things got difficult, and everybody was relying on him to make things work, he completely folded up shop and turned into a pumpkin. And not only did he turn into a pumpkin, he regressed 135% from what he was the previous year. Think about that. Now, some people are going to be like, well, that's all great, David, all the stats, but how is this great news for the Lions? Here's how this is great news for the Lions, and here's how it's unexpected. Because think about this. The difference between the two as to what they've done the season prior to when they got their contract, when they were given their contract, it is about as far as the East is from the West. The two never meet. Goff had a top 10 producing season in 2023 and got his team to within a literal whisker of the Super Bowl, which was the basis of how he earned his contract. Oh, and mind you, the Lions had never gotten that damn close to a Super Bowl ever prior to that point. They were literally that damn close to getting to a Super Bowl. The 49ers? They paid Purdy a staggering amount of money after he had, in essence, an average season in which his production diminished, as I said, by a whopping 135%. Doesn't matter what the injury total is. The Lions had a whole bunch of injuries on their defense. That didn't stop Goff from producing. That didn't stop Goff from continuing to win games for the Lions or the Lions continuing to win. They found a way to get it done. They said, screw the trials, screw the troubles, screw all the nonsense that we've got to deal with. We're going to get it done. What did Purdy and the 49ers do? They did nothing. They did bupkis. But here's what makes this a truly slippery slope for the 49ers and what really shows the brilliance and the great news for the Detroit Lions. Because think about this. The 49ers, they had the cheapest quarterback as a starter over the last 2 years starting for them. And despite having such a great quarterback deal, they couldn't capitalize on it. They could not win the big game. Oh, sure, they got to the big game once, but they couldn't capitalize. To then ensure that they could afford to pay him, they had to let go of an unprecedented number of stars. Debo, they got rid of. They got rid of Greenlaw. They got rid of Ward. They got rid of a whole bunch of different guys in order to pay him that contract. So, my all-encompassing point here is this. This is what truly makes this the great news for the Detroit Lions. The 49ers, if you couldn't win when you had a cheap quarterback and you had all of the necessary talent that you needed in the world, what on God's green earth and Satan's fiery hell makes you think that you're going to win with an expensive quarterback who is used to having all of that talent, but now has to work with and entrust his ability to succeed with replacements, which are definitely not as, talented as the guys that they're replacing? Think about that. You now have a quarterback that showed last year when he didn't have all the talent that he's used to having, he regressed. And not only regressed, he regressed miserably. Now you just paid him a huge-ass bag, and you've got less talent than what you had the previous year. And now you're entrusting it to rookies and guys that are of lesser talent than what you had the previous year. Whereas, when you take a look at the Lions, they paid Goff when he had shown that he had earned his contract, coming off of a great season, getting them, again, within a whisker of the Super Bowl, and they already had all of their young talent in place, and it had already been proven that it could work. Because after 2023, it's like, hey, we know Gibbs is going to work. We know Laporta's going to work. We know that Monty's going to work. We know that, honestly, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to work. We know that J-Mo's going to work. We already knew that all the pieces that we had weren't going to work. The Lions did things the right way. They did things the hard way, the tough way, and they rewarded their quarterback for proving he can win when developing all of these other guys, which are rookies, or were rookies, by the way, because Gibbs was a rookie when Goff was there. So was St. Brown, so was J-Mo, so was Laporta, so was Sewell. Helped develop all those guys and still got them to where they were. And did all that with all the turmoil and the doubt from all outside of the organization. The 49ers did the exact opposite. And now they must prove that their investment is not only smart, but all of their moves are sustainable. They have an easy schedule this year, and you know what? That's probably going to help them as far as getting more wins. Unlike the Lions, who supposedly are tied for the second hardest schedule. But think about this. Eventually, that's going to run out. The schedule's not going to be as easy this year as it is next year. Oh, and by the way, next year is when the first year of Purdy's contract comes due. So eventually, the 49ers are going to have to pay the bill for Purdy. And it's going to come due. And the hard times are going to come again for them. And they're not going to have the talent that Purdy is used to having when he first started there. And I believe that the 49ers' investment in their QB will prove to be the ultimate fool's gold and will be their downfall. Because they're now banking everything on Purdy being able to have the same success he had in 2023 when he had Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, George Kittle, CMC. And all those guys playing at the top of their games. But here's the thing. As time goes by, those guys are not going to be able to play at the top of their games for much longer because, oh, that's right, CMC is getting closer to 30. George Kittle, if I recall correctly, is either at 30 or about to be over 30. Trent Williams is on the last legs of his career. And freaking Ayuk, yeah, he's a good receiver, but I wouldn't call him a top 10, top 15 receiver. He's definitely very damn good. And then on top of that, you still don't have no Deebo Samuel. You don't have a freaking Swiss Army knife that can do everything for you. Run the ball, catch, all this stuff. Whereas the Lions, they've already got all that stuff in place. They're committed to their guys, and their guys are committed to them. Taking fair deals, not overpriced deals like what Brandon Ayuk demanded from the 49ers and what the 49ers gave to Brock Purdy. The Lions have proven that they're rising, they're strong, they're tough, and they're battle ready by weathering all the great trials, all of the great suffering, and all the great, nonsense they've had to deal with. They're ready to make their move. The 49ers, they have to prove that they can even make a move now that they have invested all this money into a quarterback that there is a huge question mark around. Hey, when things aren't perfect, when you don't have all the pieces that you're used to having, can you actually still make it work? That's what makes this great news for the Lions, because when they were being doubted about giving Goff a contract, they proved that they made a smart move, because Goff had already proven that he could do it with all the stuff he had done previously and with the guys that he had helped develop. Brock Purdy has never had to really develop guys. Now he's got to develop guys while everybody's looking to him and saying, hey, You're the franchise quarterback now. You have to make this work, because if you don't, we're all out of jobs. That's why I say unexpected great news from an unexpected source. But anyway, folks, I know this is going to definitely get some riled up tempers from people. I know it's going to cause controversy. But again, the truth does not care about your feelings or opinions. The facts are all there. I've presented them. They're indisputable. But anyway, I'm going to end this episode. So I want to say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and share. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon. Also want to encourage y'all, please share this content with your Lions friends and family members, and also just share it wherever you want to. Share here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed the content, and I hope I was able to give you guys some really in-depth analysis, because that's what I try to do with every piece of content that I ever push out, is to give you guys all the facts, all the logic, all the reason that I possibly can. And I also hope that everybody out there has got something in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.